Hi everyone, it's Dee. So how's everyone doing? I'm doing really well. I thought I would come on with a craft of my past again for you. The last one I did, that was working with polymer clay and making jewellery and little miniature things. So you could probably guess what today's craft of the past is, and that is painting. Back in late 90s, early 2000s, I got into folk art painting and really enjoyed it. My children were at school and I hadn't gone back to work at that point yet, and I just wanted to do a hobby for myself. So I sort of learned quite a lot of it on my own. We would get these monthly magazines that would come out, and they would have different patterns in the magazines of different paintings you could do, and they would show you all the techniques of how to use your paintbrushes and paints and get the design that you want. So basically you would just transfer the pattern onto the design onto whatever it is you're painting, and then you would just paint and build up on it using all these particular techniques. So I think there's a lot of different styles of folk art depending on where like culturally where it's from. But I'll just read you just something from Wikipedia about folk art. Folk art covers all forms of visual art made in the context of folk culture. Definitions vary, but generally the objects have practical utility of some kind, rather than being exclusively decorative. And that's true. Most of the things that I've painted were practical, you could use them. Some were decorative, like this milk urn at the back here, but most of them I painted on suitcases, bags, shopping bags, anything, you name it, you could paint it. So you could paint on it. So I'll just show you close up a couple of the things that I've painted. This is a pine wooden box, and at one stage I think teddy bears were really in, so I went mad painting teddy bears on quite a lot of items. So isn't that cute? So there's some terracotta pots with some flowers, a watering can, a wagon with some teddy bears in there, and then a stand with a hat and some boxes. And that was just painted on and then outlined with ink, and then I splattered some paint to create all these little splatters everywhere. And then that's the side of the box, a chair with a teddy bear and blanket. And the rest is that's just some tape from when we moved. I've still got to get that off. But that was that. I did a couple of the boxes and I couldn't find the other box anywhere, so I may have given that away. When we moved, I've given quite a lot away to charity and friends over the years, so I don't have a lot of pieces left. Now this one is a terracotta vase, and it's just got Australian native plants painted on there, the eucalyptus and little proteas. It's a butterfly there, and I finished it off with varnish. So this one is kept at the entrance, and I put umbrellas in that one. And this is my little paint caddy. Keep a lot of my arts and crafts in there. Believe it or not, the paintings that I did last weekend I used were still from like over 10 years old, and they were still good. But this I thought I would take to my classes when I did take classes for a bit. For about 6 months I took classes to see if I could learn anything more. It didn't last long because I did learn a lot on my own. But anyway, there's some more teddy bears. I did some coasters. I remember Daisy coasters was probably one of my first projects that I did. and there's some arum lilies. So you start off simple and then you build up on your knowledge. So it was really fun, and I did that for quite a few years actually. And of course there's this big urn here. Move that a bit closer. And this milk urn, it's an old milk urn, was gifted to me, and it was rusty, it had surface rust on it, so I had that sandblasted, and then I just painted good quality outdoor spray paint, the background, and then I just put the design on there. And this was actually painted in class, and there were a few things that I thought I could learn. Yeah, this lady used to have a craft shop, and she would take classes, and I went there with Mum for about 6 months, but in the end she wasn't teaching, she was blabbering to other ladies and not teaching us, so we ended up we kept learning on our own by buying these magazines. So unfortunately I don't have the magazines anymore. I had about 50 of them, but when we moved I had to get rid of a whole lot of stuff. I hadn't used it for years, and I thought, well, someone else can use it. Plus the mice were getting into everything, so I had to salvage what I could before the rest was ruined, and yeah, hopefully someone's using that still. So that's my folk art story. Even before that I was painting. I delved a little bit into watercolours. I'm not that good with watercolours, although I did this one painting which I'm really happy with. I haven't done a lot more actually. I've done a few small things, but you can tell this is the 90s because of the peach. Peach was in the 90s, and I did these roses, and I'm really happy with it, but it's outdated, so the poor thing just sits in my cupboard. And I used some masking fluid on this. If you wanted to keep parts of the painting white, a technique would be that you could paint the masking fluid on where you want to keep it white, and then do the rest of your painting, and once everything's dry then it's sort of like a rubber, and it just comes off as you rub down on it. So that's what I did. You can see all the white spots there, but I was really happy with that. And roses are a very common thing to paint, flowers. So that used to sit in my first house on the wall, but it really comes out now. It's funny, isn't it, how crafts do that. Let me know what crafts you've done in the comment section. I'd love to know. But anyway, that's that. That's I've always painted on and off. I love acrylics. These are all acrylic. Last weekend we had lockdown, and I've been wanting to paint again for quite a while. So I went on YouTube just to see what tutorials are out there, and I found Michelle the Painter. I'll leave the link to her channel below for you. And I just love the way she teaches, and she paints and just describes things in an easy to follow manner. And it's funny because I think she calls her sessions sip and paint, so she's always sipping on some Shiraz or wine of some sort while she's painting. But anyway, so I went through her channel to see what would I like to paint and follow, and this one is from Halloween, and it's called Walk with a Witch. So this is what I did. Now it looks a lot nicer actually on camera. It's a bit rough the closer you come to the painting, but I mean a lot of paintings are like that, aren't they? So I'm used to doing a lot of more fine detail work, whereas this is more, you know, you paint landscapes and you sort of, the fine detail is there, but not something like more folk art. It's a bit different. And I didn't have patterns to follow. I had to draw everything as Michelle did. But I thought that turned out really well. If you look on her channel, you'll see this, and her witch is a lot skinnier. I drew my cat and the witch a bit fatter, a bit wider. But I'm still happy with how it turned out. For not having painted for a while, it's pretty, you know, pretty good for me, I think. And I just love the colours, and I love Halloween. So that's that one. And I just love the witch's hat and her red hair. I mean, looking at it now, I think, oh, I should have given her more dark underneath the red, but that always happens when you're painting. You can always, it's easy to look back and say, oh, I should have done this. And the other one is for Christmas, and this is going to my daughters, my granddaughters, sorry. And that's a snowman. I love snowmen, I told you I do. So I thought that turned out really nice too. And it's really fun to do. It was, I think it took me a couple of hours to do this. I kept having to pause the video and then sort of do my thing, and then that's a good thing though with the tutorials. You can just pause and you can go back, and yeah. But I thought that was really cute. And it's got a little bird on one branch and the birdhouse on the other there. So that's it for this series, for this session of Crafts of My Past. I've got a couple more, I think, to show you. I think embroidery, cross-stitching was one. Not many, so I just thought it's a good way for you to get to know me and just to see what sort of crafts I've done in the past. So let me know what some of your crafts of the past are, and if you're still doing them. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.